Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Shade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. Hi, everyone. I wanted to talk to you today really about dating decisions. Like, how do you know that the person you are dating, that the person you are choosing is the right one for you? And this comes up all of the time in my coaching practice. It really is, I think, something that's on people's minds a lot. It's like, well, I'm dating this guy and he's really great and all these things are happening, but how do I know that he's the one, right? And so this is really tailored to divorced women 40 plus who are actively dating. And if you find yourself procrastinating a decision about a man that you've been seeing, like you find yourself frozen in indecision, you're kind of worrying about making a mistake, you want to go exclusive, but you find yourself like not being able to make a decision, or you do go ahead and like say, okay, based on what I know, you make the decision, but then you find yourself in another relationship with the wrong person. Like a lot of women come to me at this point, like they've done the dating things and then like it's been 3 months, 6 months with this person and he was the wrong person for them, right? And so at that point they feel like, oh my goodness, now I just wasted 3 months, I just wasted 6 months with this person. I had to go through this whole breakup with someone who wasn't even right for me, right? And you just find that time goes by and you're not able to kind of create that commitment you want. Or you're in the relationship, but you can't fully commit because then you're second guessing everything all of the time. Things are happening and you're not sure if there are red flags or if it's not a big deal. Should you work through it? Should you not work through it, right? So in this short video, I really just want to tell you the things that will free you to be certain. Like, how do you know? What should you be doing? What should you be thinking about to consider that? So for those of you who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Shadi Curry. I'm a dating coach for divorced women. I went from divorced after a 17-year marriage to happily be married in about 18 months. Now I help other divorced women 40 plus do the same thing in an average of 6 months. And I really want to show you how to end the uncertainty that surrounds choosing the man who is right for you. So let's just dive in. For some people, this problem shows up when, not when they don't have a lot of interest. So like I have clients who come to me because they're not meeting the guys who are interested. They're not meeting guys who are committed. They're not meeting guys who are interested in them. So, that's like one side of the dating journey that, I work to help fix. But this problem is typically from women who are meeting guys. They're meeting great guys, right? And they're having conversations on the apps and they're interested. These men are smart. They're well-educated. But like sometimes it feels like something is just a little off, right? Or they've been introduced to a guy by friends. Like, and this happened to me. What I'm talking about today happened to me when I dated someone that was already in my network, someone I already knew. And that kind of can make it hard because when you're feeling like, well, this person is friends with all of these other people and they know my family and we grew up together or went to school together, I should be able to make this work. Like this should work. This should be right. This should be okay. But then you find out that like, even though they in your network and they seem to be the same education and maybe there is some overlap, they only meet a percentage of what you're looking for, right? And I think there's a narrative around women that, oh, we're only attracted to like the bad guys. When we meet a nice guy, then we're not attracted to them. Well, not every nice guy is for you, okay? I'm just going to say that right up front. Not every nice guy is right for you. Not every nice guy is a match, right? It could be a match on maybe some levels, but not a match on others. And so if you find yourself in that situation, it can feel like it's really foolish to, let the guy go, like let the nice guy go. Some of you worry that you're broken and you're just not able to be attracted to a nice guy, that like you're too picky and that you're doing it wrong, right? Some of you feel like you're doing it wrong. And you ask yourself things like, well, is 80% enough? Is 60% enough? Is 75% enough? I love Indian matchmaking. It's like one of my favorite shows because I'm in the business of love. And one of the things I don't agree with Sima Auntie on is that 60, 70% is good enough. Now, in the context of the show, it is, just because there's so many other factors and so many other variables that are already taken care of. But in other dating contexts, 60 to 70% may not be enough, right? It's not a rule that you can really just go by. So for most women who are in that stage where there's a guy who's interested, he seems okay, there's some things that are bothering them, like they're not sure about, but they're like, well, let me see how it goes, right? So, they tend to go exclusive. You stop talking to any other guys, you get off the apps. But as you go, you're still not deciding. You're not fully deciding, right? Should I move forward? Should I not move forward? So you're going on dates, you're having conversations. You're stuck because he's so close to what you're looking for. And what happens, the reason I want to talk about decisions today is because you keep making the decision over and over and over again, or trying to make the decision over and over and over again, right? So there's this, what I teach, which is evaluating, self-reflecting, reflecting on what's happening. And then there's simply overthinking and spinning in indecision, which you might mistake for evaluating. You might tell yourself, well, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it, but you're actually just going around in a circle, sort of in a paralysis, even though your brain is active and it's doing things. If you find yourself not being clear about what your parameters are, which I'll get into in a little bit, you're just going around in a circle. You're basically stuck. You're in a kind of like freeze mode or paralysis mode around the decision about this kind of guy. I had a client who, when she first came to me, this was literally on our consultation call, this was the situation that she had. She was like, this guy's smart, he's funny, he asks me a lot of questions, he is okay with the fact that I have kids, he wants to be an involved step parent, he wants a commitment, right? Like, he's just great. Like, he's the best guy I've dated so far. Like, I've dated these other guys and gone on, first dates and things, but he's the one who's like the best so far. And I just think it would be foolish for me to not continue. But there were a couple of issues, right? He was like, well, he's kind of shallow. Like, our conversations don't really go deep. But, do I need that? Like, is that a big deal, right? So these are the doubts, the little questions, even though you're like, well, I see this thing, but then, right? And that happens a lot. Women are conditioned to question themselves, to second guess themselves, especially in the area of love, right? And then she also said, well, and he also has like, really deep anxiety and kind of like OCD, which isn't, his fault. Like, and I don't have a problem with that, but I just don't know if I want to accommodate that in my relationship, right? And so she had trouble owning what she wanted and what she didn't want. She had trouble saying, hey, this guy is great, but I really don't want this. And I think that was the key with her. That's one of the things that I want us to talk about today is, can you own what you really want? Can you give yourself permission to say, I want this, and this person doesn't have it? Are you allowed to do that, right? And so even though she wanted someone who matched her mental and emotional wavelength, he went ahead and paused her entire dating journey for this guy. She was like, well, I'll see where it goes. And that right there took 3 months of her dating journey, because then she was, well, I don't want to say stuck with him, because she made the choice to slow her dating journey down. Well, so she kept talking to him, kept seeing him, but another reason was that she felt guilty about rejecting someone for something that wasn't their fault. She felt guilty for rejecting someone because of their mental health. And that inner conflict really just kept her stuck. She was like, I don't think I want this. I don't think this is what I want. I don't think this is going to be good for my son. But I don't want to be a mean person. I want to be nice. I want to be someone who is open-minded and accommodating. So even though he was ready to close the deal and get engaged and move forward, she couldn't proceed. Like, she just could not commit, but then she also couldn't break it off either. So 3 months down the line, eventually the guy was like, okay, well, I can see that you're not interested, or you're not going to move forward. And, so he kind of like moved on, but said, hey, I'm really interested, come back to me and we can make this work. So that was one of the situations that really illustrates kind of that indecision when you're in this situation where you are. Um, Do you wonder exactly how divorced women just like you are meeting eligible men who want a real relationship and a commitment? They're doing it by dating with their core values. Your core values are the GPS that lead you to the partner you've been looking for. When you use your core values on dating apps, text messages, and at social events, you will easily connect with your true match partner without chasing, settling, or wasting time with non-committal men. I have taught exactly how to do this in the 2-hour Core Values Dating Blueprint course available on my website, shadecurry.com/dating. That's SADECURY.com/dating. You will learn exactly how to identify your core values and use them on your dating profile, how to ask the right questions via text, and how to tell the right stories on dates, so that you attract the right people and repel those who aren't right for you. If you're ready to meet your true match, hop over to shadecurry.com/dating or click the link in the show notes. Now back to the episode. I don't want to say in a relationship because you're not quite in the relationship. And I think that's the problem with indecision, because you're not quite in anything, right? And the problem is, one, if you find yourself here, one of the things that's happening is you may not know the difference between evaluating the relationship that you're in and simply overthinking and worrying, right? You may feel like you don't have permission to say no to someone. Like you may feel like you need a quote unquote good reason to say no. And I think this also happens if you've been divorced. You'll relate to this. Women in toxic marriages, abusive marriages, often feel like they don't have a right to move on from the marriage unless they have a good reason. And those good reasons are usually defined by other people, defined by other structures, defined by other people other than yourself. And same thing then starts to happen when after your divorce, you're dating, where you now feel like, I don't have a right to say no to this guy unless I have a good reason. And that can keep you stuck, right? You don't give yourself permission to ask for what you really want in a partner. A third problem, and you'll see this when I talk about my client's story, is that she didn't have clarity on what she really, really not just wanted. She knew what she wanted, but she didn't have clarity on what she needed. So even though she had a list of the things that she wanted, her list wasn't complete. Her list didn't have everything she needed on it. And that's why she kept having doubts, because the guy would meet stuff on the list, but there were deeper needs that she had, deeper things that she wanted, a deeper vision that she had for her life that were just missing, right? But she wasn't aware of those needs, so she didn't realize that she needed to accommodate them. She was also in scarcity, where she felt like, what if I don't meet someone this good again? What if there's no one else like this guy in my future, and then I've let go of him, and now I'm single forever? So that's scarcity thinking, where you think this one guy will make or break your dating journey, instead of realizing that, like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's a very, very high chance that you can meet someone like him with what you're, the other pieces of what you're looking for that are missing. And really, that's like the availability bias, where we think what we see is all that's available in the world. And then finally, she didn't know the difference between FOMO, where there are some people who have a tendency to just keep dating the next person and rejecting everyone because, like, what if there's something better? And what if there's something better? And what if there's something better? And a gap in what you really want and the ability to recognize that this person just doesn't have everything that you want. So in this situation, there's no prescriptive way to deal with it. But I'm going to throw out like just some things that I do with my clients when they're in this situation to help them resolve the indecision. Like, we go deep. I ask the question, why, a lot. And I think we just haven't, as a culture, we haven't been taught to go deep in our evaluation of our partners. Like, we just haven't been taught to like really, really have these deep requirements and this level of reflection around who we want. We just see the movies and people just meet each other, they fall in love, they get married, and we haven't been told, hey, you should know what you want and know how you will recognize that the person has what you want, right? So I'm going to throw out just different tools that I use with my clients along the way, and we just kind of like work through all of it in our sessions together to get to the absolute truth of the scenario, the absolute truth about the person that they're thinking about, and the absolute truth about themselves and what they want, and whether or not what they're considering is a necessity for them or not. If it's something that be like, well, no, this is not a big deal. I want everything else, and this one thing that's missing is not a big deal. But sometimes the one thing that's missing is the biggest deal. So the first thing you want to do is release scarcity about what's truly available in your world. My clients usually at this point are there where they've been going on dates, they've been meeting great guys, so they know that, okay, yeah, of course, of course I'm going to meet someone. Look at all these guys that I've met, all these guys that I've dated. So you want to have released the scarcity that you could meet someone. You want to have released the scarcity that this one person is going to make or break your journey and you're never going to meet anyone else again, right? Because that feeling of scarcity, those scarcity thoughts will put pressure on you. And when you're under pressure, you really can't make good decisions because you're trying to hold on to what you have. Then the other thing I do with my clients is we get deep clarity on what they really want. We're talking written down, laid out, where you can clearly see where the person meets the requirements of what you want and where they don't. So, we have like 3 or 4 steps that go into this. My clients will complete a self-discovery to truly understand who they are now and where they're going, who they've been, where they are, where they're going, what the elements are going to be in their life, what their vision for their life is. And then they create a relationship vision. This is the relationship that I want. This is what it looks like. This is what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. This is what's happening in my life on a Monday, on a Tuesday. And so I have a list of questions that I give them. It's about, the self-discovery is about 50 questions. The relationship vision has about 20 to 30 scenarios that they work through to truly understand what their life looks like now, what they want it to look like with a partner, right? And then we take that and say, what kind of man is really going to fit in with that? What are the requirements? And when I say requirements, not what you're going to make the man do, not what you're going to force him to do, but what does he need? Who does he need to be? What elements need to be in his life already for him to be a match for what you're looking for? And not just what those requirements are, but how will you know, right? So if you want a man who is empathetic, which we should all want men who are empathetic, right? Empathy and positive affirmation and mirroring is kind of like a requirement for a good relationship, right? So how will you know? Because sometimes we have this list, but we don't know how to recognize when a person has what we are looking for. So when my clients work through these 3 tools that I've mentioned, they know what they need, they know what the requirements are in the partner for them, and then they know how they will tell that the partner has these things or not. And once they've done that, then they're able to then evaluate. And so as they're seeing guys, I don't even have to do a lot of work at that point. It's kind of like, okay, a client will ask me, okay, what do I do? This guy did this, did that, and I don't know if I should let him go or not. And I'm like, what's on your ideal partner profile list? Does he match what's on there? I am reminding them to take out that list. And every time they go on a date, what have you been able to establish that he has? What have you not been able to establish? Do you need to go on more dates to be able to find out what he has, what he doesn't have? So, because there's always like, this is what I know, this is what I don't know. We're constantly putting things in the bucket of what they know about the guy and what they don't know about the guy, right? And so I teach them that process of self-reflection. And the self-reflection is required because they still have their own triggers. They still have their own biases, right? So we work through, okay, what part of this is you? What part of you, this is you trying to get this man to fulfill something inside of you? And what part of this is you needing to evaluate with clear eyes what is happening here, what he's doing, who he really, really is? And then as they learn to do that, then we also work on them releasing the guilt when he's not a match. There's just so much guilt there. You're not being mean. You're not judging. You're not, being a prejudiced person when someone doesn't meet the requirements that you have defined for the life that you want, right? And we work on reframing that because it's labeled judging or rejecting and all those negative words. But I like to see it as when a man is not a match, you're releasing him to find his true partner, the partner who doesn't think like, oh, all these things are not what she's looking for. And then you're releasing yourself to meet your true partner, the partner who isn't looking at you and saying, oh, well, why does she want this? And why does she want that? And like, you're not in that mode of constantly revisiting each other, right? You're not constantly revisiting if he's for you, and he's not constantly revisiting if you're for him, or wondering why he's not living up to your standards, right? So not a match is very different from rejecting someone. And often my clients will feel guilty for, quote unquote, rejecting someone because they feel responsible for his feelings. Again, something women have been socialized to do, to make sure everyone has a great experience with you. Nobody ever feels hurt. Nobody ever feels disappointed. Nobody ever feels rejected. Well, it's okay for people to feel disappointed or hurt or, not get what they want. That's just part of life. And it's not your responsibility to make sure everybody on the apps is getting everything that they want, right? And so these are the things that I end up having to work through with my clients so that they can really have a clear mind and clear eyes to evaluate who they are with. And it gives them, working through all this, it gives them that feeling of freedom and autonomy and serenity, and like feeling like, oh no, I get to choose. This is not something my mom is choosing for me, or my culture, or my dad, or whatever. I get to choose because I get to live with this person. I get to have this life with this person. But if you have all of that confusion and guilt swirling in the bottom, you won't be able to choose with clarity and to choose for you. So going back to my client who worked through this, she just did an amazing job, was very invested in the work. And what she found out was that this guy was nice, he was amazing, he was smart, he was intelligent, he was committed, but he really wasn't close to what she wanted at all. There was a whole set of things that she really wanted and needed in a partner that he wasn't. Their cultural values did not align, their spiritual values were not aligned. He was as educated as she was, but they were not a true intellectual match, where she was still pursuing a lot of personal development and growth in her life, and he wasn't, which isn't a bad thing. Listen, there are some of us who are self-help junkies. That's just like some other people are golfing junkies, and they golf every weekend. Everyone just has their thing. So he wanted someone who would, match her with self-help and personal development. And that's why she didn't realize that was why she hadn't enjoyed the level of conversation that she was having with him. And so she really wanted someone where she could have those conversations and growth and go to conferences and seminars with that person. And then she also realized that even though he was very invested in wanting to be a stepdad and care for her kids, she didn't need that. That was a good thing, but it wasn't what she needed. She actually was very happy to independently parent her child. And her ex was an active parent in the children's lives. So it wasn't, even though it was great and he was enthusiastic, it wasn't necessary. It really wasn't something that was a big deal on her list. So when she was able to make that list that truly reflected her life, we restarted her dating journey. This is what we're looking for now. And then she just started meeting guy after guy after guy that she felt more compatible with, right? So the guys just kind of got increasingly more compatible with the new vision that she had. And looking back now, now she's at the place where it's she's got I think the last 3 to 5 guys were just oh my gosh, this guy is great. I'm looking for this. She's more in the place where she's evaluating for who do I go exclusive with? But when she's looking back at the beginning, when she started working with me, and she looks back at that guy, he's nowhere near the people that she really likes now and wants to choose from. So we do that work up front so that it's you're really clear. You don't get blindsided down the road by saying, oh, I really needed this and I wish I had thought about this when I was dating. Doing that work up front creates self-trust so that you're oh yeah, no, I know I decided this. I know I thought about this ahead of time. I know realized that I wanted this. And I can trust that if I'm not finding it, then I'm okay to say no, right? And you can make those decisions quickly and easily and be confident that you are choosing, whether the choice is to say no to someone or the choice is to say yes to someone, you can be confident that because you've done that upfront work, you are making the right decision for yourself. So that's how to make dating decisions. This is how my clients and I go about it, so that you're like, I'm good, right? You're not in that spin. You're not wasting all of that energy. I do want to invite you, if you are listening to this and you're a divorced woman 40 plus, if you're not getting 1 to 2 new first dates every week with men who match you in the way that we've talked about today, with men who are like, you can see a possible future with, if you're not even getting the opportunity to evaluate at this level, then I really want to invite you to work with me, right? If you want to go on at least 5 amazing dates in the month of June, where you're like, oh, this could be a potential partner. This is someone, and getting to the place where you're evaluating. If this is something that you want, and you want to do it with like only 30 minutes a day on the dating apps, along with dating in real person, then I want to invite you to schedule a consultation call with me. You can do that with the link that is in the show notes. It's shadecurry.com/schedule-appointment. And Shade Curry is spelled SADECurry.com/schedule-appointment. The consultation call, really what we do is we just sit and look at where you are, kind of like how I described how my client came at this point in her journey. We take a look at where you are in your journey, and I lay out the parts of my process that will help you resolve that, the parts of my process that will help you resolve where you're stuck and get you to the place where you are with your partner, the one who matches you as quickly as possible. Now, the worst case scenario, if you sign up for a consultation call, is that you and I spend an hour together and you're like, okay, this is not for me. Okay, that's the worst case scenario. Now, the best case scenario is that you see how my process can revolutionize your approach to dating, and you use our work together to meet your partner this year. So you have nothing to lose by scheduling that consultation call. I want to invite you to do that today. And I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Thanks for your time and attention. And I will see you next time. Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to shadecurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.